nothing easy in this world. Anything you want, you got to work to go get it. I don't care how much you dream. Sooner or later, you got to get up out that bed and go get it.
And they didn't get out of bed. They did not get out of bed. They flew to Lincoln, Nebraska, and they actually shat the bed. Colorado Buffaloes lost 28-10, but the game was really over by halftime. It was 28-0, and by that time, Shedeur had got sacked 4 or 5 times. Colorado Buffaloes had negative 20 rushing yards. Trevor Woods got ejected. Shilo was out of the game because he broke his forearm. Mata had a blocked field goal, and Shedeur did not finish the game because he was sacked 5 times, but he left the game in the fourth quarter after a helmet-to-helmet hit. Did not matter because the game was over by halftime at 28-0. Nebraska was the more hungrier team. They looked that way. And I kind of figured that. That's why my last video from last week, I was ringing the alarm bells because Nebraska's deeper. They had more athletes than North Dakota State. Plus what happened last year where Shedeur was lighting it up. He put up the shadeur. I knew they would be more up for the challenge, especially being at home. Their fans would be up for the challenge, which we saw. And, I mean, they just didn't come to play. The defense was so-so. They held them to 28 points. I think that's a decent job, especially if you have a high-powered offense. That's enough points to overcome. You know, how high-powered offenses should be in the 40s. So you should have won by, plus 10. But that didn't happen. None of that happened. So I'm just going to go over my observations. I'm not going over no breakdown because this game was essentially over. Let's start with the offensive line. They struggled heavily in short yardage. They couldn't pass protect, and they couldn't pick up simple games. Nebraska only really sent 3 or 4 linemen each and every play, and they were still getting to Shedeur. And one of the big things they were using were games. They were doing D-line stunts with tackles and ends where the end crashes and the tackle loops around or vice versa. And they were getting to Shedeur. They couldn't block that to save their lives. You talk about the negative, yardage at the end of the first half. Charlie Offerdahl had 4 yards. I mean, we just got to be honest. I love Charlie, but this is not a Disney movie. This is Saturdays, okay? Dallas Hayden is the better running back, especially when they need to be more innovative in the rush game. They're not going to be able to run between the tackles. I don't even know if Colorado has a fullback, to be honest with you. So how do you be more innovative? The quarterback is going to have to get more involved in the running game, and I know Shedeur does not want to do that. But at the end of the game, when he got knocked out of it, when it was a helmet-to-helmet hit, Staub came in, and he took what the defense gave him. He was going, he ran for 8 or 10 yards. Those are the things they're going to have to do. They're going to have to do some wildcat. They're going to have to give the mesh more often. If you want to run the mesh, which is fine, they know you're not going to run the ball and be effective. They're not even going for the play fake. So the next game, you're going to have to just stick with it. 20, 30 attempts. I don't care if you rush 50 yards. Do it, because that's going to open up the play action. So you're going to have those one-on-ones with Travis and Jimmy Horn or whoever you need it to be. Also, Shedeur's going to have to get involved in running. So whether it's going to be some kind of option or whatnot, I'm not saying continue to run that, but that's what's going to have to happen. Now, if you watch that game, you see all those tackle and end stunts. You're going to have to use hard counts too. They kept going on the same count and not switching it up. You have to slow them down. And the last thing, if they rush you straight, or that the running game is not necessarily there, it's time to do some screens. I've never seen Shedeur do a screen. I'm not even lying to you. When I wrote that down, I said, damn, I don't think they've ever ran a screen that I saw. So those are the things that they're going to have to do going into next week. Also, I talked about replacing Charlie Offerdahl. I want to say just with Trevor Woods, I just don't think coverage is his strong suit. I've been holding my tongue. I mean, last year he lost his safety job because he couldn't cover in space, so they moved him to will. This year he's in will. He couldn't cover an FCS running back out of the backfield last week. So I just don't think he can play when they play pass-heavy teams like the Big 12 or the Big 10, where you got an uber-talented quarterback that's going to be looking for the mismatch. And they know that you can't necessarily take away those hot routes or those angle routes, those Texas routes. So you got to be able to cover. So I don't think he can play when it's like that. I think his strong suit is going against running teams. But Shilo, he broke his arm again. I think his forearm, depending on the injury, if it's shattered, yeah, he's going to be out for the year. But for in-the-box safety, if it's just a simple break, I think he's going to be back this year. I don't think it's going to be next week, but I don't think it's a season-ending thing. Travis Hunter had his catches, but like I said, the stats really don't matter. I think it was just a good solid ass whipping. I mean, really, it says 28-10, but it was really less. Mata again got his field goal blocked in the end of the first half, but that's just him being a soccer player. And honestly, when you look at analysts, they say he kicks the ball too low. He's already not a bigger player, but when soccer players, they drive the ball. So they're not trying to they don't have that necessary practice of kicking over people's hands. And when you have bigger athletes like Nebraska does, you have to be cognizant of that. But I mean, even if he would have made that field goal, it wouldn't have made a difference. Buffaloes weren't winning that game. Colorado Buffaloes have a lot of work to do, and they're going into Colorado State week. Colorado State got their asses handed to them by Texas. And what I remember seeing out of that game was they just did not match up well. I don't think they're as talented as they were last year, but that does not mean they won't be up for the challenge. The game will be in Fort Collins, and with that being said, they got a lot of film from Nebraska that they can use. If they want to use those stunts, if they know that Colorado won't really run the ball, we're not respecting the run. We're going to make you run the ball. We're going to double cover and bracket, and we're not going to get beat by your skill players. And the game is going to be in Fort Collins, so they're going to be up for the challenge. I think they're going to be in for a real dogfight unless they get all these things done. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments below. I appreciate y'all as always. Heritage Sports.